two, one. Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seats, our good friends, Miss Angela Rose
Hello, everyone.
and Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
And we hope everybody's having a wonderful time out there. Safe weekend. If you're in some of the rain-soaked areas, please stay safe if you're on the West Coast with the bad storms that are going through. As we have a lot of past guests and friends that live out in the LA area and hope that everybody can stay safe during this time. We also want to remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media. For the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books, be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by Triple S Lawn Care. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area and you need your lawn taken care of, be sure to reach out to Triple S Lawn Care. They'll do an amazing job at a very reasonable price. Darren's waiting to hear from you, so feel free to reach out to Triple S Lawn Care today.
Tis the season. It's coming quickly.
Oh, yeah. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 2024 winter anime. Since the season is just about half over, we're going to give some of our opinions on shows that we like, shows that we drop, reasons that we dropped said shows, and even there's a show out there that I think should have stayed source material and not animated. So we'll touch on a lot of that, plus some interesting news that I saw from voice actors that we've had on in the past that are making their return to voice acting. So we'll have a lot of that coming up tonight. So be sure to hang out. We're going to have fun. Of course, all the awesome people in the chat. Hello to Ross and Isa. It's great to see you guys in the chat. Thank you to everybody who tunes in every week, whether it be live here on Sunday nights on the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook pages, or if you listen to us on the podcast platforms. We really appreciate all of you guys who tune in every week. Lots of love goes out to you guys. So, as we said, tonight we're going to start off talking about what we're watching or what we plan to watch this season, and are we watching them? And Darren, I know most of the time you have a list, but due to work schedules, you're not able to actually get to them. So we'll start with you and see how things are going.
I managed to catch up on 4 shows today. 2 of them being second seasons.
That's actually really good for you.
Yeah, I know, right? First one, Banished from the Heroes Party, Season 2. It's getting interesting. I'll leave it at that. Dangers in My Heart Season 2 continues to impress me. It's still maintaining its 8.7 something score on my anime list, which is pretty impressive to say the least. It's like in the top 50 of all time, according to that score. And one of the highest rated romances of all time. It's really good. It's really cute. It's really wholesome. I think y'all would enjoy it, or if not enjoy it, at least recognize it for the romance and school life that, well, the ideal romance, I guess you could say, desired by kids still in school. I don't know how to phrase it. It's just wholesome.
I know you love your wholesome anime.
Yes. Which reminds me, I need to go back and finish Tony Kawa Season 2. I watched the first episode and then forgot to finish it.
You're one episode further into it than I am. And I think you're a whole season ahead of Angela.
Yeah.
No comment from me.
And the other 2, yet another romance. Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. It's waifus. That's all I gotta say. and great personalities. And the other one is The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. It is not redo of Healer, for those of you that are questioning it. Not even close.
Are you
It's
sure?
a it is an isekai because three people are transported, two on purpose, one by accident, and the story mainly focuses on the one that was there by accident because he has a rare type of magic, which is healing magic, and as a result, he is taken by one of the head. Well, he's taken by the head of the rescue team to be trained on using healing magic during actual battles. So instead of warriors being ran to the back of the line, they are healed on sight or trained to be returned to the back of the line. And his mentor is also just as strong, if not stronger, than the captain of the knights.
Interesting.
It's actually been pretty good so far, Doug. I think you might like it.
Now, I know we've talked about you've mentioned Hokkaido Girls before, and I wasn't really gonna watch it until I saw a post on Instagram recently by a former guest on the show, someone that we've hung out with at conventions a couple of times. Remember Michaela Krantz?
Yes.
She's been away from the voice acting world for a while. She had gone off overseas doing some different studies and stuff of that nature last I had talked with her. Apparently in the English dub she voices the main female.
Ah, Fuyuki.
So I am and that was a Instagram post on Michaela's Instagram page. So it's like I might give this one a shot in English just because of being friends and really enjoying Michaela's work.
Well, they're super adorable, as depicted in the title.
So that was one of the big news things that I'd seen from the voice acting world. This past week was Michaela Krantz has returned to voice acting, and I'm excited. Hopefully, she got the much needed time off that she needed, and curious to see how things go from here for her. Hopefully, we can reach out to her, maybe have her as a guest on the show in the future. Also, want to throw a shout out to Megan Shipman. Talked with her a little bit today. Things are going well. Her daughter is 3 months old now. Holy crap, time flies.
Indeed.
And hope that everybody there is doing wonderful. It was great to catch up. Hadn't talked with her in a while, so it was fun to catch up. Didn't talk anything show business or voice acting wise. Just wanted to check in, make sure everything was going good with them, and it sounded like it was. So again, we're happy for them, and hopefully she's getting to enjoy being a mom and you know, relishing and enjoying the precious moments you have while the kids are still that young, because they grow fast.
Indeed. We've got some commentary from the chat. Hello to John Knight, who is currently also watching the Grammy Awards, which I forgot was tonight. And then we've
Hey,
got
they're
Ross,
forgettable.
and then we got Ross telling us that the Deadpool 3 trailer releases next week, and also that he watched Vending Machine after work. And Doug, like you said, it was good and definitely had some light romance. I'm just going to shake my head at that because you know what? There's something for, as I've said before, with anime, with all that's readily available,
There's
there's
something for everyone.
everyone. And vending machine, I'm going to poke fun at the premise. Poke fun at the premise. But for the people that think it's good and enjoy it, you know what? Have fun.
I'll be the first person to say I came in this looking at it as a joke and wanted it to suck, and you both know that. So when I watched it, and even my wife watched it, and we both were like, "This should not be as good as it is." And she's not an isekai fan, so for her to have enjoyed it, there's something there.
Well,
I know, and you're that's one that you are strongly against and will not watch. So we're not going to push the issue.
but you
But
know
you
what?
are missing a good show.
I'm enjoying. Speaking of isekai, I'm enjoying Fluffy Paradise. I'm only one episode behind.
Oh, thank God,
That's
so am I. I didn't watch the one that dropped today.
That's on my list.
Issa in the chat says, "I thought vending machine was a ridiculous premise, but good."
Vending machine is a really ridiculous premise, but the way that they figured out how to make everything work
No,
was very creative, and I give a lot of credit to the people who created the show.
nope. We started our season with 10 shows on our list. We ended up dropping 2 of them. And then out of the other 8, we are completely caught up on 2, and the rest will be caught up by probably Wednesday.
And Ross in the chat says tomorrow after work, he's going to start watching Shine Post and then Show by Rock Mashumaresh.
Because he's got free time. Hey, what's
Tuesday
that?
after work because he's got free time. Ironically, I've been on the kick of rewatching shows over the past couple months. And last week I watched Shine Post. This weekend I just started rewatching Show by Rock Mashumaresh, just to see if they still have the same feels as they did when I watched them the first time through. And both of them still as enjoyable as when I first watched them. But as you were saying, Ange, you dropped 2, and you still have 8 that you're trying to keep up with.
Yep.
Now, which shows are those?
In the order that my... Oh, did it close? Did the app close on me?
Probably.
Bear with. My anime list is great, except when it's not. Well, in the order that my anime list lists them in, the two that we are completely caught up on are Apothecary Diaries, which is ongoing from last season. I can't stress how awesome this show is. I'm really, really liking it. And the other one we are actually completely caught up with is, believe it or not, A Sign of Affection, which is so wholesome. It is really, really good.
We're seeing a new side of Angela this time. Oh, go ahead, Darren.
I started it, just haven't continued it.
It's worth it. Like the interactions between the characters, the like they nailed it. One episode behind on Witch and the Beast. Metallic Rouge. Sengoku Yoko. The Unwanted Undead Adventurer, which is yet another feels like a D&D party kind of thing. Fluffy Paradise, Mashal Season 2, and Delicious in Dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon. Isn't that the one about the people that, like, one of their party members gets kidnapped, they've got no money, no food, and they have to start eating monsters?
Uh, kind of.
I only say that
But
because I started watching Gigic's review of the Winter 2024 anime, and that's what he said.
That's got eaten by the for the protagonist sister gets eaten by a dragon, and they're trying to rescue her, and they're surviving by cooking dungeon monsters and eating them.
and
You
then
do what
the
you got to
other,
do.
hey, if y'all were to watch Ari Fuerta, that's exactly what happened. And then you got Maple doing the exact same thing.
It, Maple is a special case.
In many aspects of the word.
Yep.
Just saying, I'm pretty sure she was eaten and she ate it from the inside out. Did she not?
Yeah.
But also the other food anime this season is quite the weird one, and I haven't started it yet, but I keep seeing stuff about it. And that's "'Tis Time for Torture Princess." They're torturing her with food.
Well, all right.
And we all know what anime food does.
Yep. But
Yeah.
no, overall, my list is honestly a good mix of of slice of life, just good character stuff, a couple of stereotypical shonen, and a couple of sci-fi thrillery types.
It's unusual, though, for you to be watching this much, like, slice of life feel good stuff.
You know, usually there's not much. There hasn't been a lot of that in any one season, and most of it hasn't been what I would label. It hasn't been attracting me. It's been like one a season, if that.
And surprisingly, the list that I started off with, quite a few of them I haven't even started watching. Banished from the Heroes Party, I was catching up just before coming on the air, which is why I was delayed in coming on. I wanted to finish the episode. So when you asked Ange if I was ready, and I was like, be there in a minute, I had about 5 minutes left in the episode.
Fair.
Fluffy Paradise, I am one episode behind, like you are. You talk about wholesome and cute and adorable, and the animals are just drawn so like they make you want to just pet and cuddle like the main character does.
Yep.
The storyline has been, pretty good thus far. I'm not gonna complain about the storyline. I thought that it's been interesting.
It's been not your typical. It doesn't have, in my opinion, most of the
Annoying
isekai
tropes,
tropes.
which is why you've been enjoying it, because it's not your typical isekai.
Exactly. It's cute, but there's substance.
The Weakest Tamer began a journey picking up trash. I watched one episode of that. I plan on trying to watch 2 more episodes to give it the full 3-episode trial. I don't know if that's one I'm going to keep watching or not. The first episode really didn't hook me to the point where I was like, oh, I need to keep watching. So probably at some point this week I'll try to catch up, watch a couple more episodes on that to see if it's something that I'm going to stick with or not. Mr. Villain's Day Off was a possible. I have not started watching that. Um, didn't know a whole lot about it. The synopsis was kind of confusing, which is why I was like, I might give it a shot. I might not. I had a pretty good sized list of shows I was planning on trying, and that was a back burner one in case I dropped a bunch of other shows just to pick a show up. Other shows that I had on my list that I have not started include Sengoku Yoko, The Way of Pawn, and the Onsen, the 40 Onsen anime. Have not started any of those,
You
partially because I couldn't find a couple of them, and a couple of them, after reading the synopsises again, I was like, I don't know if it's really for me or not.
Sengoku Yoko, as I'm almost caught up, that one I'm enjoying. It's on Crunchy. You will probably absolutely love one of the characters, but I don't know if the show overall is for you.
Understandable. That's a fair assessment because there are certain character types that I'm just drawn to, and
Like-
sometimes that's enough to keep me interested in a show.
Like
Is it a
Like-
dragon girl?
Fox, but yes,
Okay.
it's a like she's. I think you will be amused by her, but I think overall there might just be too many. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Too many variables that just don't pique my interest.
Story like writing wise, it's closer to my taste than yours.
Okay.
But I could be proven wrong. I'd say if you get the time, give it a couple episodes. Otherwise,
Other shows that actually got added on late. The Demon Prince of Momochi House is a show that I started watching with my wife, and that has been interesting. It kind of has a Kami-sama Kiss feel to it. And it's like Kami-sama Kiss meets, I forget the name of that other anime. I even cosplayed Genji from it, and I can't remember the name of it now. Drawing the blank. At Genji, Ranmaru, Aoi. But anyway, it kind of has an interesting feel about it. It's a girl who
Ross has filled you in. You're talking about Fruits Basket, apparently.
It's not Fruits Basket.
Well, all right. I will take this as a lovely opportunity to catch up on the chat because there's plenty of comments. Ross also said they had a good time at Anime Fest featuring Caitlin Glass, Samantha Kelly, and Robbie Damon. And everybody was really sweet and amazing. Robbie even got so excited he pulled Ross's mom into one of the photos, like unprompted. That's awesome. And John Knight keeping us up to date on the Grammys. Miley Cyrus won an award for Best Pop Solo Performance. That's awesome.
Music?
We thought that she was playing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's Taylor Swift. Get it right. And up to Darren from Ross, no one got fully eaten in Air Fuerza. Only the main character arm doesn't count.
I wasn't referencing the character. I meant the monsters while he was down in the hole. So, nice try.
And now back to our regularly scheduled nonsense.
And Kakario Bed and Breakfast for Spirits was the anime I was thinking of. It's been interesting thus far. I'm probably going to stick with it. Tales of Wedding Rings was another one that I started watching. I wasn't going to originally, but there was one that looked kind of interesting. My wife and I started. I don't know if she's going to continue watching it or not. I still am. I'm hoping that it gets better. It hasn't been horrible thus far, but it's it
Well,
seems a bit predictable.
unrealistic.
It almost seems unrealistic for anime, or very predictable for isekai anime.
Actually, an anime question for you guys,
Boy.
because it actually came up during my axe throwing league this morning. Someone who enjoys watching sports, tennis in particular, an anime nerd, asked if she had seen the tennis anime that's out there, and I do not remember the name of it for the life of me.
Prince of Tennis.
Probably. And it was just a rather interesting conversation. But hey, there's a tennis anime out there, so there really is an anime about everything.
Except disc golf and bowling.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would watch a bowling anime.
I would too.
I
I'd
would
watch a
too.
disc golf on anime.
I mean, hell,
Jared,
they did Birdie Wing for golf. And golf is, I'm sorry, it's one of the most boring sports out there
Wait,
in terms of watching.
Ross, what are you regretting?
Tales of Wedding Rings.
Ah,
Tales of Wedding Rings.
you
I'm
know
trying
what?
to remember the way that Gigik phrased it.
Ross, keep the recommendations coming. Sometimes we'll actually really enjoy them. Other times,
Oh,
possibly not.
Doug. There's an anime that you didn't mention earlier that I want to question you about.
there's two animes I still have left on my list, and one I'm leaving for last on purpose, which might be the one that you're thinking of.
Probably, if that's the case, then I'm not going to bring it up yet.
Up next on my list was my instant death ability. I watched one episode and I was like,
Yep.
this is just kind of blah.
And it's, well, at least the guy gets creative in episode 2. He doesn't try to kill him. He only tries to destroy parts of their body instead without killing him.
And the last one,
Interesting.
the one I'm saving for last. This is a show that probably should have stayed source material. And Ross, I know that you brought this up when the season started, saying that this one was probably going to be a controversial show.
What
And
show is it?
after watching the most recent episode, I will wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't know if it's one I'm going to continue. Part of me wants to continue it because I've invested like 5 episodes in, but I'm going to feel like a degenerate if I do.
So?
Wait, you're not already?
No, I'm going to feel worse.
Oh,
Gushing
come
over
on.
magical girls is
Man.
Oh, come on. You made it through interspecies reviewers. How can this be much worse?
And how can this be worse than Conception?
Anything's better than Conception, period.
This may be better than Conception in some ways, but the most recent character that they brought in straight looks like an elementary school student. And we're talking about a show with nudity and BDSM and stuff of that nature, and I'm like, I don't know.
And I reiterate Aiken. I reiterate, let's see, what other show did the exact same thing?
But I didn't watch those.
And
Mocking got near that level. Go ahead, Ange, because I'm trying to remember stuff off the top of my head.
From the chat, John Knight added Solo Leveling to his Crunchyroll list, and Issa likes how OP Death Ability has the MC using creativity with his power.
I mean, I may give it, a couple more episodes. I usually try to give everything 3 episodes. So I've got 2 shows I've only given 1 episode thus far that I will try to give it more.
We typically do 3 or 4.
I typically do that, but the problem is having the time to get to 3
Yep.
and 4. Not
And
so much the quality content.
and this season, the ones we dropped, one of them I think we only watched 3 episodes, and neither of us was both of us were kind of meh. And with everything else, we said, nope, okay, we're dropping this one and the other. Well, it was largely because Disney Plus.
And I also forgot to mention, of course, I am still watching Free Run as that continues. That show is still really, really good. And it had, even though it's a slow moving story, doesn't have a lot of groundbreaking action scenes and big fight scenes like you'd expect from shonen. It also doesn't have a lot of the goofy tropes that you see from an isekai or things of that nature. The story headline has stayed pretty consistent, seeing the eyes through the world of an elf that's lived for over 1,000 years, and showing how what feels like a day to her could be 4 or 5 years to us as humans, or even longer. In the blink of an eye, 50 years passes in episode 1.
And I think we've seen a little bit of that in Goblin Slayer
Yep.
during the little story arc with the elven wedding.
Yep.
But Free Run still has been very good. The arc that they are on now is where Free Run and Fern are both trying to get their Class 1 mage licenses. And so you have some interesting battles. You see some interesting tactics. Some good fight scenes. And of course, the memes are going wild with Free Run. Including I saw one today where a couple of the characters that were brought in the past couple of episodes, one is a water mage, one is an ice mage. So you saw them paired up with evolutions.
And Ross in the chat is saying he's caught up on the same anime he's watching of our list, but he's not going to say anything because we're behind and he doesn't want to spoil anything. Issa says, anime film question rather than shows. What are your thoughts on Studio Ghibli films?
I'm gonna get a lot of surprise from this one. I've never actually sat through a Studio Ghibli film.
We need to remedy that.
There are so many good films of Studio Ghibli.
I'll start with, God, where do I begin? I got to see the Boy and the Heron in theaters in December, and it was fantastic.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It was, and we actually watched it dubbed because of it was a very stacked cast, and it was fantastic. And as it's come up before, I usually prefer subtitles. I've done I could probably put a, if you will, ranking order on Ghibli movies I've actually watched, but I won't. I'm just gonna say I haven't watched one I didn't like.
And I have seen quite a few. Amongst some of my favorites include Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away. all fantastic movies. Ponyo was a great one. Princess Mononoke is fantastic.
Totoro, or My Neighbor Totoro.
Totoro was another great one as well.
Now, hot take that's not mine. I saw on Facebook someone finally got an acquaintance of mine finally got around to watching My Neighbor Totoro and did not like it at all, and basically was basically the gist of the post was, why is this movie so overhyped?
For the same reason shows like My Hero Academia gets overhyped, Demon Slayer gets overhyped, fandom latches on and loves it for quite a while. Attack on Titan had an enormous fan base. So it's
but that's
they hit a niche, and people just, those that love it, and those that don't.
I really enjoyed it, but again, and Ross is responding to Issa. They're okay, but I got rid a few years ago in this corner of this world DVD because after watching it, it was too damn long of a movie. I've only seen Kiki when I was younger and Spirited Away, but as adult, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo.
I remember the commercials for Ponyo, but never
Up on
was
Poppy
interested.
Hill, and that's it. I've seen Spirited Away. That's a really good movie.
That is a really good movie.
Howl's Moving Castle, I love. I think I don't remember if we watched Ponyo. If that's one of the ones we watched. At one point, when they all dropped on, when they all were up on HBO, we started watching some of them with the intent of doing them all, and then we just got too busy and never finished. But such is life.
Yeah, it happens.
But
now, I know that you've been wanting to catch up on a lot of shows. Have you caught up or had a chance to watch any more of Banished?
No. With what time?
We know you got all the free time in the world. You could have it on your phone while you're at your tea parties. I do want to reach out to Aaron Campbell and about seeing about having him come back on the show, especially with Banished coming back, and hearing his take on this new storyline and everything.
That would be interesting. I do have to actually watch that. I've been meaning to. That might be what I do one of these. That might be what I do, is watch an episode on my lunch break. And Ross in the chat, still waiting for Blue Exorcist to get an English dub so we can start watching it. And going back a little bit because I inadvertently missed it, John Knight in the chat is continuing with the Grammys. Carol G now has a Grammy for Best Música Urbana Album, Mañana Será Bonito.
Don't know who that is.
So stay tuned as our chat keeps us informed of what's going on at the Grammy. So if you haven't been watching it or didn't know what was going on tonight like the rest of us, we can keep you posted unless you don't want spoilers. Then just don't read the chat. But John, keep up the good work with all the information and everything that you've been doing. Of course, everybody in the chat, we've got some of the greatest people who tune in every week and very knowledgeable on so many different subjects.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, you guys are awesome.
Now, something that crossed my mind this week, where I've gone back and been rewatching a lot of shows recently that I, may not have watched in at least a year or so, and seeing if they still hit the same way. Partially because I've had the time to do that, which before I never really had the time to go back and catch up on stuff, and then rewatch some old shows, or just feel like I want to watch something again. Are there shows for you guys that just you'll never get tired of sitting down and just rewatching, or something you haven't seen in a while and you're like, does it still hit the same as it did the first time I watched it?
Fortunately, I don't have time to go rewatching a lot of anime.
And Ross has a question for me. Did I watch Kimi no Toke?
Kimi no
From me,
Todoke.
from me to you, because they just did an English dub of season 1 and 2 release. No, that's not one I watched. I have a laundry list of things. One that's been on my radar that I still haven't had the time to watch because episode 1 is 90 minutes long is Blue Eye
Oshinoko.
Samurai.
I was gonna say Oshinoko.
I was
Oshi-
I think that one's
was
also
gonna-
90 minutes long.
Oh wait, ReZero was only 50.
because I went one morning, I went to start Blue Eye Samurai because I had about 30 minutes, and then looked at the runtime, and then realized the entire all because it's Netflix, they don't stick to traditional timelines for episodes, and most of them are closer to 50 minutes, with the first episode being 90, and I'm like, okay, well, blah. I don't have time for this. And John Knight says the one that he likes to rewatch, Doug, is My Hero Academia dub.
Why
I mean,
torture yourself like that?
like we were saying before, people like what they like.
And
We poke fun, but
everyone's got those comfort shows that they will always go back and rewatch for those feels.
and like I said, I'd say in the past couple of months, I've rewatched quite a bit. Actually, thinking about it now, I'm currently rewatching Show by Rock Masha Resh in English dub. Had recently watched Shine Post. Uh, Season 1 of Banished from the Heroes Party, did that just before the season started so I could refresh myself on the story as season 2 came out. Rewatched Realist Hero in a weekend. By the grace of the gods, I rewatched 2 seasons of that. Possibly may go back and rewatch Killing Slimes for 300 years, especially knowing that at some point in the next 500 years, we'll see season 2 come out for that one. It's already been announced, but they're playing with that like they played with this finale of Attack on Titan. You just don't know when it's going to come.
Don't even get me started. Now, if I was gonna rewatch with anime, I haven't rewatch stuff. Because there's so much I haven't watched that it's at the stage of why rewatch things when there's so much I haven't seen. But if I were going to at this point go back and rewatch something, it would probably be the older stuff to see if it holds up and hits the same. Something like Serial Experiments Lane that I watched literally when I was 20.
I can say Inuyasha did not hit the same. It was my gateway anime in. I think I still hold it near and dear because it was the gateway show into the anime genre. And for its time, it was great, but I've gone back multiple times to try to rewatch And it's like this show just really is not, by today's standards and the shows of today, it's not as good as it felt when it came out. But that also comes as, we're older now. When these shows first came out, do they still hit the same? No, because we're not the same people we were when we first saw them on Adult Swim or Cartoon Network or wherever you
Or
were watching
import,
this stuff.
or stuff you bought import because that was the only way to get some of the more obscure stuff. Like another one, if I were to go back and rewatch As Mangadio, I highly doubt that would hit the same. Because that was also something I watched at a very specific time point when I was dealing with a lot of shit.
No,
I'm not sure if Chrome Shoved Regios would hit the same. I think it would, in the fact that it would probably reignite uh, my first waifu per se, or at least the first attractive girl in anime. I
now
don't know.
here's a question for you, Darren. Does High School DxD still hit you the same as it did?
Yes, yes, be it the light novel or the anime. Yes,
I know you prefer the anime sub to dubbed.
exactly. Because I'm sorry, no disrespect to anybody, but they changed around how the show was presented so much in the dub that if you were to go back and watch the sub and the dub and compare the two, you'd see almost two totally different stories.
I feel like while that I feel like as as time has gone on, that's become a lot less of an issue. But back in the we'll call it late 80s into the early 90s, that was very much an issue with when they dubbed things, they changed a lot.
Yep.
And that is and while I'm sure there's still a few things lost in translation, it's not nearly as much.
And I
I
and
agree, but also you got to remember that whenever dubs are done, regardless of where you're at, they try to slant the writing to the cultures that they're being presented in order to get them to kind of draw them in. Um, their their edited versions, well, not edited versions. Well, I guess so. There's edited lines in English for, let's give a famous example, Dragon Ball, that are slanted toward the English audience. There's edited lines in um, Pokemon. Pokemon, the 4Kids era, when they had the rights to it, they did a whole bunch of lines targeted toward the American audience. Like it wasn't even funny.
Ross says he has over 150 anime DVDs. Some of them are part two of a season or a different season.
I still
that's
have VHS for a couple things.
that is a crazy collection, Ross. That's awesome that you have been collecting for a while and have that many. I don't have close to that.
To be
Angela might
fair,
have that many books, but
Books,
in
yes.
in
DVDs, no.
Japan, in Japan for many series, they would release the Blu-rays, and the Blu-ray would only contain 2 or 3 episodes.
Um, for a for Serial Experiments Lane, I actually own what amounts to a box set. I got it. I got it secondhand. 4 DVDs for 13 episodes. I
I
think
was
it's the only anime DVD set that I own.
I was looking recently because my daughter absolutely loves Sergeant Frog, and unfortunately, on Crunchyroll, Sergeant Frog is only subbed, not dubbed. at the last time that I had checked. So I was looking on the Crunchyroll site as to how much Sergeant Frog would cost to get the DVD or Blu-rays, and they're not bad in price. They're on sale. It's like $15 off. But I didn't realize how many episodes had actually been created of Sergeant Frog. And now the English dub is great because there's a lot of jokes in there. I think it was like 87 or something like that episodes, 78 or 87 episodes got dubbed. 78 episodes got dubbed, but the series continued past episode 78 because the season 2 Blu-ray contains up to episode 103, and then there's another Blu-ray that has season 3 and 4, which goes all the way up to 205 episodes of this anime that I didn't know existed. So I am kind of curious as to how the show continued beyond what got dubbed. I know a lot of people probably would have liked to have seen the show continue.
According to Ross, speaking of that, Doug, the rest of that series is being released by Discotek. And John Knight says, Ross, congratulations. I need to collect more anime Blu-rays.
I probably have about, Doug, based on what you saw, I got about, 60, 70, maybe?
They probably are about what I have. Probably, 60, 70 DVDs
Well,
and
and
VHS.
don't forget, part of that's unfair because I have the Dragon Ball box sets, which is like 5 and 6 DVDs per season, and there's 12. There was 12 seasons of Dragon Ball Z, 5 seasons of Dragon Ball, and 2 seasons of GT. And all of this was before Super.
I still haven't seen a single episode of Dragon Ball.
I would advise you watch Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball, in the grand scheme of things, was actually a more enjoyable series. And also, it had some more adult themed content than Dragon Ball Z ever did.
And I will say this, I saw Dragon Ball. I saw a couple episodes of Dragon Ball and absolutely hated it. Was not for me.
But as we like to pick on each other here, saying all shonen is overrated and all isekai is trash.
Yep.
And ecchi is still the gold standard, or at least used to. Or at least used to be, because there hasn't been a good ecchi since.
Okay,
before
Darren,
2020.
you want a good ecchi? Darren, watch Gushing Over Magical Girls.
It's on the list. They said that's the first actual ecchi anime since 2020.
And Ross actually agrees with me today. Okay, cool.
I think he's trying to throw you off, Ange.
I don't know. I think Ross is trying to do his job of distracting us from any semblance of staying on topic.
And John, I will say Dragon Ball is the one series where the dub is definitely better than the sub. And it is one of the few dub anime that I will watch.
Is Ghost Stories another one?
I still haven't seen all the Ghost Stories. I've seen a crap ton of the clips, though, so you may as well say I've seen it.
I don't know what Haru's doing in the kitchen, but it sounds like she's trying to get in the cabinets.
Well,
So I'm looking behind me. It's like, what in the heck are you doing, you dumb cat?
You know,
Ross, do you mean Dragon Ball or the whole franchise? Because remember, there's Ball, Z, GT, and Super, and then more.
uh, and Ross also says maybe Haru wants a sandwich.
Come here, Fatso. That's it.
And she decided to make an appearance.
Your punishment is you're going on the air. You can say hi to everybody. She's like, no, I don't want it. No TV.
Usually it's Heinz who wants attention.
You're getting the unwanted attention now because you were dragging stuff out.
Oh,
So
please.
she is not happy with you right now.
Issa says hi, Haru.
still giving you love, Haru. I know you're angry, but you know what? You're still getting the attention.
And you're not allowed to go in the cabinets.
I know you don't like any doors closed, but some are closed for a reason. Okay. And stop scratching stuff up.
She was like, let me go.
You come near me, I'll pick you up again.
Wait. Okay, what the hell is this?
She walks back over to me and say hi.
Is she purring? I can't tell.
No.
I didn't think so.
Ross says Kai. I saw some of when it was on Adult Swim, and it dragged the continuation thing on, and I was never interested in the Dragon Ball franchise.
You know, it's kind of funny. I got drawn into Dragon Ball by Dragon Ball Z Kai basically when they redid everything from Dragon Ball Z, and it encouraged me to go back and watch the original. I think I watched most of Kai, and then went back to Dragon Ball, realizing what all I had missed, and then just continued the series from there.
Nah, in early college, I was a guy I was seeing. His favorite anime was the Dragon Ball franchise, and he had just gotten a box set of Dragon Ball and decided I needed to watch this. And so he put it on, and I absolutely hated it.
Do you remember the context? Just curious.
It was the first two episodes.
Okay, so literally when Bulma meets Goku.
Sure.
So yeah, those are the. It really doesn't start getting good until they introduce Krillin and the others. But Emperor Pilaf.
There was I also did not have a lot of, at that point in time, I had not seen a lot of anime. So it
What would
was,
you say he was a gateway to anime, or were you already aware of its existence prior?
I'd already seen Lane by that point.
Ross Mockingjay was terrible, especially season 2.
No, my introduction to anime really was weird stuff. And subsequently, there's a lot of classics from the 90s and early 2000s that a lot of people were surprised that I had never seen. So
No, Ross. No.
So going back and watching some of these classics later in life, some of them I really enjoyed, others are definitely a product of their time.
Now, I know that we've hit that time of year again where you see all the anime awards nominees and stuff are coming out. Are there any shows looking back at 2023 that really stick out that you think, like, I know Crunchyroll's got the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I saw another anime site had award nominations up. I forget which site that was, but I know there's like 3 or 4 different ones that do like awards. Are there shows from last year that really stick out in your mind that could be like top winners in some of these award shows? Speaking of like Grammys are on tonight.
Honestly, not too long ago, I went back through my anime list and the things I had watched in 2023 because we did at the end of 2022, we all put together a top 5, and there was enough standout stuff in 2022 that we could do that. 2023 for me was very lackluster. Like, there was not a lot that I actually watched or even heard enough about.
Mm,
And Ross, to answer your question, no, I never watched Tsubasa.
and Ross, like I was saying, no, there's big and then there's too big. Her and the other teacher fell into the way too big category. And like I
Yeah.
said, that whole show is season 1 had something and season 2 just ruined it.
Looking back at, just because of that question, looking back at the shows that aired in 2023, it surprises me how many of them I actually watched, and a lot of them I enjoyed. Yeah, there were a lot of continuations shows, like By the Grace of the God season 2, which I really enjoyed. Of course, Fury season 2 came out in winter. So about a year ago, we got season 2 of Fury.
Unfortunately, in 2023, most of what I watched was in the winter season, and then I got busy.
The big standouts for 2023, looking at this,
Tomo was also a good one, Tomo-chan.
Yeah.
no, looking, I watched very little for 2023, and minus season 2s, because yeah, Fury, and
Mashal.
nope. Well, Mashal season 1 was in the spring of 2023, but Spy Family season 2 was also fall of 2023.
Yeah, Skip and Loafer you liked.
I did enjoy that, but overall, like, I'd have to say the one that stood out the most would have been Trigun Stampede, which was winter.
I have to say, my personal favorites from 23, I'd have to give it to Dangers in My Heart and The Angel Next Door. And Toma.
I mean, that's current, so we're talking about current.
Kuma Bear season 2. That was like the season 2 you didn't know you needed. You didn't need a season 2 of Kuma Bear, but it was really good. Smartphone season 2 actually developed a good storyline.
And Ross, I was actually going to say the other one that's not a continuation or next season was, for me, was My Happy Marriage. That one was really, really good.
Also, Konosuba Explosion on This Wonderful World was entertaining.
I never finished that.
Speaking of awards, John has given us the next update from the Grammys. Lainey Wilson has a Grammy for Best Country Album, Bell Bottom Country.
We saw more Rent a Girlfriend in 2023. I lost interest in season 2, and then season 3 came out in the summer of 2023. So I never actually watched that. That's also when Vending Machine came out. Devil is a Part-Timer season 2, part 2.
Yeah, but no, there's like 2023 for me did not have as much good things as 2022 did.
Yeah. I think a
Well,
lot
I
of what
think I
interested
think
me last year. Oh, go ahead, Darren.
I was gonna say I think 2023 was the year of sequels.
Yeah,
I will agree with that because looking at what I watched, that stands out: Spy Family season 2, Goblin Slayer season 2, uh, Gundam Witch from Mercury season 2, uh, one of the parts of Attack on Titan, Bo Fury season 2,
you've
and
got Girlfriend season 2, Saints Magic Power season 2. As I mentioned earlier, you had season 2 of By the Grace of the Gods, Kuma Bear.
and then I had some good ones, but I also had a lot of mediocre and really weird stuff that I watched because a lot of it was really awesome premise and then really mediocre execution. But I've talked about a lot of those. There's just like Mashal was awesome for what it was. But if we're gonna be real, it's a very stereotypical shonen and it's basically a Harry Potter-esque anime. And it's fun.
And Uma Musume season 3 wasn't bad either. That's a series I've heard a few other anime fans talk about that, saying that for whatever reason, Uma Musume didn't hit the Western culture as hard as it hit Japan. And a lot of it could be because it's based off of a lot of Japanese race horses and, Japanese horse race lore, which a lot of us in, the US and in the West don't fully grasp the Japanese horse racing. Yeah, and here in America, we have the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown that you hear about and stuff of that nature. But I don't really know anybody who really follows horse racing.
Um no,
Yep.
and I only know 2 of the races that make up the Triple Crown. Or no, I do know all 3. I know of them.
Isn't it like the
The Kika
Reefs?
show.
It's the Preakness, the Kentucky Derby, and I want to say Belmont is the 3rd.
I knew the Preakness and Kentucky Derby, and then I think the third one was in Darren's backyard. But yeah, I can kind of agree. I mean, there were some good surprises that came out of 2023's anime seasons. Like we said, Tomo-chan was a good surprise, but not one that I was expecting to be as good as it was. Freerun has been absolutely fantastic. Still sitting at a 9.13 on my anime list.
Is
And
it
I
still not? Is it still number one?
I'm not sure.
I'd say it should say.
It just
and
says 9.13. What was the other show that was?
and
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was number one.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is one I watched later in life, and it was fantastic.
And that's one that's sitting at 9.09. So Freerun still is leading Full Metal Alchemist on uh, my anime list.
Wow.
It's up by 0.04.
Which is still pretty good.
I'm wondering how much of that is because of how old Brotherhood is. There's a lot of people who watched it and just didn't and it watched it before my anime list even existed.
Well, that also may be the case. You also got to look at the number of people contributing to that score. Um, if
Yeah,
you have
you
if
have
you
over
have
2 million users for Full Metal Alchemist. And for Freerun, you got about 500,000.
And Derek Bell in the chat wants to know, where do you put ReZero?
Where do I put ReZero?
And all I can do is laugh at that because I watched one of the most recent Sea Dog Crane Game videos, and that
I know the one you're talking about. That
came
one
up.
Rem figure with the ball and chain, that looked epic.
But
I'm not a big Rem fan, but that might be one if they're still available when you go to Japan. I kind of want one. So practice your crane games.
No,
Who's
I'll just
Ren?
Crane games don't interest me. What I'll end up doing is going to Mandarake.
But ReZero season 1 was good. Season 2 didn't like have the same feel as season 1 did to me, so I kind of dropped season 2. In my opinion, though, and I know it could be hot take, but I think Amelia is best girl in the show. I know a lot of people feel it's Rem or Ram, but I liked Amelia the best out of the three of them. I like the character better. I like the personality better. And I'm not just saying that because I know the English voice actor.
I got nothing. I've never seen ReZero, and my reaction to all of this would probably be the same as Premiere 2 with if I saw that would probably be what's a Rem.
Well,
but you
it's
did
not
get to
just you. The fandom doesn't know what Rem is either.
And now Ross apologizes for being distracting. McDonald's are doing dumb things now. They're releasing the Shamrock Shake tomorrow when it's not March, and 2, they're making a double Big Mac sandwich.
The double Big Mac is probably equivalent to what the original Big Mac put out.
Was.
It's probably Burger King did something a while ago called a quad stack. That is
I remember that. The double was $2, the triple was $3, and the quadruple was $4.
But that's probably what the Big Mac is trying to bring back. I don't know.
It's tough to say.
Fast food is something that doesn't hit the same.
No, it used to be better and cheaper.
Now
you can get better quality food at a gas station.
But even so, convenience store. Issa says, "Don't apologize, Ross. Dumb things need to be reported. Thank you for sharing." And John says, "SZA, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, has now won a Grammy for Best R&B Song Snooze." And Issa is saying fast food is changing faster than their service nowadays. I will 100% agree with that.
Oh, God,
yeah. I will say that the one I work for does not. Our menu stays stagnant. We do not get new stuff very often.
But
we have 2 seasonal items, and that's literally it.
Darren, when was the last time the prices in your store went up?
Let's see. 6 months ago. Then the previous time before that was a couple of months. The previous time before that was like a year. The previous time before that, before COVID, was like 3 years.
Because I remember in my fast food days being a shift lead, I had to try all the new products when we would get the product in the store because we'd have to try it so we could tell people. So when people asked, we'd have to be able to tell them about it honestly.
Well, like I was saying, we haven't had an actual menu change in 10 10 years, maybe 15 years.
And outside of Taco Bell, whoever thought fast food tacos was a good idea, shame on you.
I will say that having tried like the four major chicken chains out there between Bojangles, um, Chick-fil-A, KFC, and Popeyes, I kind of have to say I like Bojangles chicken the best. Even the one here in Reading that is not as good as down south. The fact that like when you taste the chicken itself has seasoning. It's not just all seasoning on the breading like it feels like at KFC.
Um,
Chick-fil-A is overpriced. I call Chick-fil-A the Starbucks of chicken.
have you ever had Zaxby's?
I have not.
Okay. Zaxby's, I will give credit. It's good. But when it comes to chicken on the bone, I mean, that's your flavors.
Um, all I experienced Zaxby's when I was in Savannah. I was in Georgia. I was in rural Georgia for my sister's bridal shower, bachelorette weekend, and none. And as the only one not have that did not spend significant time in the South, everyone was shocked to learn I'd never heard of Zaxby's, and it was significantly better than Chick-fil-A.
I prefer KFC over Chick-fil-A.
I don't even know where a KFC near us is anymore because KFC just went downhill. It's like they changed their recipe and also they did away with their buffet, and the one after they did away with all that kind of closed down about 4 years after.
Um, but,
It is now a uh fast med urgent care basically.
the KFCs near me are just gross. And Ross says, while we're on the topic, I was ordering at a Burger King yesterday, but what the heck is this new sandwich? Candied bacon sounds gross. Um,
I
on
don't know.
Me
Ross, all
neither.
I'm gonna say is if that's not on a breakfast sandwich, because I'll give you maple bacon on a breakfast sandwich sounds good if you're into that. But beyond that, candied bacon just no. On a burger, no.
No. I have to say I don't like sweet things on my burger.
If I'm
I
gonna have
don't.
something sweet on a burger, I'd want it to be like sweet onions, that like sweet sautéed onions.
Okay,
A
I'll give you
sweeter
that one.
or a sweet barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
I I don't like sauce.
Oh God, what? And Ross is confirming it's a burger sandwich, and it's just like, no, that's wrong. Like, ugh.
If we're on the topic of interesting food, Aki put out a new pizza video recently. Have
Oh
you
yeah,
seen this one?
the ramen pizza. Yep.
Ramen pizza. Darren,
Um,
just imagine ramen noodles on a pizza.
I don't even eat ramen, but I'm imagining it.
um, I don't. I'm. I have found ramen I like, but what like traditional ramen, like even in Tokyo, I didn't like. And Ross, I wish I could share these faces. Actually, I'm gonna. Thank you. Uh, Aki and Joey both said they were surprised by how good it was. And Issa is saying that the candied bacon sandwich was illegal, wrong, and then never mind, ramen pizza is worse. Um, and this is where we get into Japan.
The worst part is I would try it.
Oh, I would too.
I don't know if I could bring myself to.
And it's Pizza Hut Japan this time instead of Domino's Japan like Aki has done in the past.
Yep. And you know, That being said, one of the things we did when we were in Japan was made a point of trying American chains to see how Americans do, or to see how Japanese do our fast food. McDonald's in Japan is so much better than McDonald's here.
Of course.
To be fair, I've heard McDonald's just about anywhere else in the world is better than the U.S.
I will actually agree with that. The McDonald's in Greece was disappointing. However, I think that's because we were expecting it to be on par with Japan. And it
So Japan set unreasonable standards for the rest of the world.
maybe McDonald's in London was significantly better than here. And then we missed the one in Paris. But God, I just realized I could probably do an entire like special video of just going through overseas food.
That could be fun.
Would y'all want to do like a like an hour-long Q&A about international food?
I don't see why not. Either that or
That was directed at the chat.
well, no, I was thinking that
I
could
would
be
do it.
something fun with the Patreon too. Get some
Yeah.
bonus
No, if
Patreon content for any of you out there
'cause
that wants to support the show. We do have a Patreon at patreon.com/Anime-Zing Radio. If you
and
want
we're
to support the show, feel free to donate. We've had some amazing people who have been fans of the show that have been donating for many years, and I keep forgetting to promote it because so much has been going on recently.
and one of the things we've been discussing is Patreon bonuses, and some of that will probably include me talking to y'all about travel stuff or Q&A and whatever format, because that's my thing. And one of the things I've to kind of maybe bring this back on to something relevant, one of the things I've talked about is it's interesting to see what anime is popular outside of in the US versus the rest of the world, because what's popular here is not always what's popular in Japan, is not always what's popular everywhere else. And then there's some of the mainstays that you see merch from no matter what country, like overrated as you both think they are, My Hero, Demon Slayer, Naruto, and I know there was another one that I do not remember.
Dragon Ball.
No, I don't actually think I saw a lot of Dragon Ball overseas.
Spy Family hit.
Spy Family was universally popular as well. And then I remember being in Paris in a subway station, seeing a Crunchyroll ad for their the shows they were promoting, and I was surprised that I had seen or at least heard of all but one.
I think lately there's been a lot of fan base that's been on the uptick for like Jujutsu Kaisen has been gaining popularity.
Yep. That was one of the. We found a store in Greece. AJ ended up getting a hoodie, and that was one of the big collabs. Was Jujutsu Kaisen? Not one we've actually. That's not something we've actually watched. But that was, and at that point in time, that was not as popular here. So it's kind of interesting to see what hits where when.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too with the anime, it comes down to what is the subject matter of the anime based on the areas that it's going to. Because things that might hit the U.S. audience in a positive light may not hit Russian audience in a positive. I mean, they may take offense to
I
some of
mean,
it, or other countries.
case in case in point, bringing going back to one we've kind of talked to death, Attack on Titan. Given and in the early episodes, it gets hinted at that it's an allegory for certain historical events, but in the final season, it becomes very, very obvious what it's an allegory to, and subsequently, there's a large percentage of people that will not watch it because of that.
I just won't watch it because I didn't care
It,
for episode
and
1.
and that is reasonable.
I would have to say Attack on Titan to me was Call of the Night to you. Gave it a
Yeah,
1-episode trial, knew
I
it wasn't
tried.
for me, and was like, okay, we'll move on.
That's kind of it. I tried. Like you guys and like everybody had talked it up so much that I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it was not for me.
Frieren is one I still think that you will enjoy because it's got a good storyline, even though it may be a little slow paced. I
And
think you'll still enjoy it, but I know it's been overhyped to the point of you want the hype to die down before you
I think that's going to
jump
be
into
one
it.
that I wait until it's done, or at least on a hiatus, and then binge the entire thing.
But I also gave you legitimate reasons, unlike some shows where I'm like, I think
Yeah.
you'll like this. I gave you like some legitimate
Oh no,
reasons.
you
I'm like,
did,
you'd like
and
this,
it's
and I
and
don't
I'm
normally do that to you. Normally, I'm just like, oh, you like vending machine. You need to check this out. It's good.
and yeah, and what you define as good and what I define as good aren't necessarily the same thing. Like we can both look at things objectively,
But Fury is good.
but Fury is fantastic.
But Fury is what I was hoping SAO wouldn't have been.
I knew you were going to do that again. And Ross says next week's stream will be special before next Tuesday. Here's a hint. And an emoji that looks like a cake.
So next week,
Is
Ross, it looks like you have I'm guessing your birthday, Ross?
Oh. Okay. Tune in next Sunday, Ross. That's all I'm going to say to that.
I don't know if I will be here next Sunday, as it worked out for my schedule that I had today and tomorrow until 10 p.m. off. Next week, I know that I start my days off like next Sunday at 10 p.m. is when I'm supposed to start my 48 hours of rest. Whether or not that happens before then, I don't know. I'm at the mercy of people who call out sick. I'm on an extra board, so I'm at the mercy of that.
But for anyone else in the chat, if people want to send us messages with birthdays and other special occasions, we can definitely do shout outs. They depending on schedules and other nonsense, it might not be the most timely, but we'll do our best.
And I know that, looking back at the 2023 season, there were a couple of shows that surprised me. Overtake being one of them. That was a lot deeper and a lot more interesting than I expected it to be. And I don't know if it'll have a second season, but I kind of hope it does. Because it kind of left me wanting more, and I like and I do like shows that leave you wanting more. There's been quite a few of them out there that have left you on hiatus. And Ross joking in the chat saying, "So how much do we pay for a telegram?" We'll send Angela to do a singing telegram for you, Ross.
You don't want me to sing, trust me. That said, the first one's free.
We'll have her jump out of a cake for you.
That'll cost extra, but I would. That I would. I would, but
Could we get Darren to jump out of a cake? That'd be even funnier.
Given my height, would I fit?
Maybe.
we
Depends
would
on
make
how
it
tall.
work.
Although I don't know if Ross would want that,
Um,
especially if you come out dressed as Nico.
uh, um, Ross, don't ever change.
And thank you for being so awesome. Thank you to all of the fans out there who are awesome that tune in every week. All the comments, Ross and Issa and John and
And
Mario and
and
HH.
keeping us on our toes and giving us some very interesting things to reflect on. But I think one of the anime for me for 2023 that I would love to see what they do with it going forward, but I'm not sure they will, was Trigun Stampede.
I am tempted to watch that at some point.
If you go in and don't expect it to be anything, if you go in not expecting it to be like the original, it's really, really, really well done. And Taylor Swift has officially won a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Album.
And join us
Woohoo.
next week when Taylor Swift wins the Super Bowl.
During her 24 hours in this country.
I
I was
am
reading
so sick of hearing about the Chiefs and stuff. I now know, I now feel how the rest of the country felt the years of the Patriots' dominance.
Well, yes. It basically I'm just it's like Ross, I did hear that. I will believe it when I see it because that's been teased multiple times in years past and has not happened.
Could they get Hatsune Miku 1 year for the halftime show?
I don't know, but
That would be cool. That
for
would
the
that would
rest
be
of
a super.
for the rest of the people watching, Ross says, by the way, did you hear who's opening for the Super Bowl? It's SpongeBob. For real this time. I'm just at a point. Usually I actually care more about the Super Bowl, even when it's two teams that I have zero feelings towards. I really, really, really wanted to see one of the underdog teams make it. Like, I've got no real issues with San Francisco. Kansas City.
I think I would look at Kansas City with a better light if it wasn't the fact of it's not about Kansas City anymore. It's not about the Chiefs and their talent. It's been a lot of media hype has been about, oh, Taylor Swift will be at the Super Bowl.
And
it's like, no,
that's a
what I
part
hate.
that's a part of it.
And I have nothing against Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift. I just hate the media coverage of it.
Exactly. Taylor Swift, again, one of those, again, not for me. I've listened to some of her music. There's a couple of songs I really like. Overall, it's not for me, but extremely well
Performed.
written, well performed, well put together. And John in the chat says speaking of Taylor Swift, has officially announced that her new album, The Tortured Poets Department, is coming out on April 19th. And see, that is worth knowing. But all of the media coverage of her attending football games, get over it. It's really just a
I would have been more interested in the Super Bowl if it was the Bills versus Lions.
yes, that would have been amazing. And Ross in the chat is asking, what's this news? She could determine who wins the election. Ross, that is purely speculation. However, it basically boils down to certain celebrities have such big reach and big fandoms that if they use their platform to basically suggest that people vote for specific people, they the the fandom will. We saw actually some proof of this, not in this country, but other countries, and it's all social media.
Social media and politics.
Yes.
I guarantee if Taylor Swift wanted to run for president, she would probably win off of her fan base.
Yep. And Issa says, for me, Taylor's an artist who, if she starts playing, I won't change it, but I won't look for it. And I mean, this does happen with celebrities and politics. It's celebrities all for instance, there was one issue, I don't remember which big global issue it was, but there was one celebrity who didn't feel that she was qualified to comment on it, so didn't, and then had her fan base basically turn on her because they're all like, well, you should say something. You have this massive platform. Why aren't you saying anything?
But if she didn't have an opinion on it and didn't say anything, then that was her prerogative. That's part of the problem, too.
Like, everybody, like...
Because you also know that if she said something, and one way or the other, half of
her
the fan
base was
base
going to
is
turn on her anyway.
Exactly. So might as well turn on me for not saying anything at all than throwing something I said back at me.
Hence why everything I say on air, I caveat as, these are my opinions. And I will admit when I have absolutely zero relevant information other than my opinions.
And, we were talking about sports and anime earlier, like the tennis anime and stuff like that. I know I'd mentioned last week or the week before, I'd seen somebody made a mock-up of NASCAR race cars with anime sponsorships on it. But could we, with the growth of anime, how fast that it has picked up speed, especially in the US over the last, 5-10 years, could we potentially see Crunchyroll sponsorship on a race car in NASCAR, IndyCar, something of that nature? Or could we see them, since it's a Texas-based company, could we see Crunchyroll signage at Dallas Cowboys or Texas Rangers, or, something of that, San Antonio Spurs?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm gonna read Ross's last comment because, all right, enough throwing you guys off track. Let's get back to anime and Jim Carrey coming back as Robotnik confirmed for Sonic 3. Again, that's a franchise that just did not grab me.
But why does that sound like it works so well?
It does. From everything I have heard, caveat my Facebook feed, it's apparently the franchise is really good, and Jim Carrey, that's a role Jim Carrey did stupidly well from what I heard. the franchise just doesn't interest me in the slightest. But kind of going back to your point of will we see anime ads at sporting events here? The answer is my thought eventually.
Well,
On the
don't forget, Japan was promoting the involvement of anime during the Olympic Games, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Yep. And interesting. And the flip side of this, Japan also has gotten some interesting licenses from some American comic properties.
Are you
And
referencing the Suicide Squad anime that's eventually coming out?
no. No, bear with me now. I've got to find it.
While
Because
she's
I
looking,
saw an email this morning and I of course deleted it because I read why am I trying to do this on my phone?
because you want to. Now, I know that there's been a show that has stirred up a lot of controversy recently, but I actually sat down with my wife and watched all 8 episodes, and it was actually really good. I didn't think I was going to like it, but it was actually really good, and that was Has Been Hotel.
Found it. Viz Media licenses, among the Viz Media licenses for upcoming manga, X-Men, Spider-Man, Octogirl, and your normal barrage of Japanese stuff.
Interesting.
That's what I thought. It's very interesting. It is very interesting to see what other other countries do with American properties.
Yeah. It's probably no different than, Japan curious about what America does with the animes and stuff of that nature. And
Exactly. Like, for example, at one point during a social gathering, we put on Batman Ninja and ended up watching it in Japanese. And it was a very interesting take on Batman.
I'm just curious how it sounds in Japanese. I'm Batman. I don't know if it would have the same punch.
It didn't. It was definitely interesting.
Have you seen any of the Has Been Hotel stuff?
I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard it's basically one of those fell under the radar and people are just finding it now. That's another one that's I've heard about.
My wife had shown it to me like a few years ago when it first came out. I saw the pilot episode, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, "Oh, it's weird. I don't know if it's something that I would really care for or not." And then when I sat down and gave the first season a try, it actually was really good, and there were characters in there that I was like, I kind of like this character. I kind of like that character. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody out there who wants to watch it and hasn't seen the last couple episodes yet. But the ending kind of surprised me. I'm just happy my favorite character landed the final blow.
Is that on Netflix or Crunchy or
Amazon Prime.
okay? Granted, I have that, so
It's only 8 episodes, typically like the 20-minute episodes or so.
Yeah. That's one of those weird that it took that long to go from from being released to being popular?
Well, it took a while for them to actually go from the pilot to actually get the okay to produce everything, and then they had to get the production and everything. So it really
Was
only came out earlier this year. It really only came out this year.
was the pilot was the pilot produced and then COVID happened? Is that
I think so. And I think the pilot came out on YouTube.
oh interesting.
And so it had a fandom from that. It just took a while for everything to come together, and then it was released on Amazon Prime. Episode 7 and 8 dropped, I think, this past Friday, and now we've got to
Interesting.
wait for season 2 to see what happens next in the story.
And you know what? Ross is one more thing. Um, apparently Deadpool 3 will fix the MCU and the multiverse. Issa's confirming what you said about the pilot was on YouTube for Has Been.
And Amazon bought it later.
And Ross, oh yeah, my brain mixing up timing. You guys bringing up sports. Thank you for reminding me. I got to check out that Snoop Dogg football movie.
And Issa says most of the lore that we have for the world building is from its sister show, Hell of a Boss, on YouTube. And Hell of a Boss has got some anime voice actors in it, including Christina V.
Speaking of, did you see the most recent announcement for the next batch of Anime Boston guests?
Including Christina V. The most recent, we have Maylee Flanagan, Michelle Ruff, and Christina V. Most recently announced to be attending Anime Boston. And then I think there was another Kineticon announced Mark Witten, Griffin Burns, and Kira Buckland for Kineticon in July down in Hartford. If we make it to Kineticon, I hope Griffin still doesn't think that we're stalking him.
God. Kineticon is one I will not be at.
Due to timing.
Due to timing, because I will be in Virginia for my sister's wedding. That being said, I will be around during Anime Boston. So if people do want to come find me there, come talk.
Yeah.
And Ross says, "Okay, we're finally back in anime after I threw off track badly. Are we all for April gonna watch Hides Her Feelings in Russian anime?"
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I only have for the spring upcoming, I only have one. No. Stupid app. For the spring, I only have one anime that I have on my radar, and that's Bartender Kami no Glass. But we'll see what comes. We'll see. Stay tuned for 6 or so weeks from now when we do a preview of the spring season, and then we'll go over what we think we're gonna maybe watch, depending on timing.
Konosuba's got my interest. Spice and Wolf, maybe. I'm hoping that they don't ruin it. There's going to be more Black Butler coming out in spring as well.
Mm.
Somebody tell Sea Dog VA that.
And I'm looking to see if there's anything else that really piques my interest. Nothing else is really jumping out at me.
I'm getting more. Mushoku Tensei continues in April, so I believe that's spring season.
Yep.
Okay, looking, you know what? Jumping ahead since we're here, My Hero's coming back, and actually, I see a lot of stuff that on the top 6, I see more for you guys and one for me.
I'm still wondering when they're going to come out with season 2 of Killing Slimes for 300 years.
Uh,
That doesn't even have a date listed.
Oh,
Also
no.
reincarnated as a sword, season 2.
Reincarnated as a Slime season 3 is set for April. Jobless Reincarnation. Oh, hey, some stuff that's not sequels.
Oh, Vending Machine's going to be getting a sequel at some point. There you go, Ange. You can pick it up then.
Can we be done with Isekai, please? Please?
How about
No.
Love Live? Love Live Superstar 3rd season is expected to come out sometime in 2024. That one is not isekai.
We're gonna close that.
And Issa says never, Angela. We can never stop talking isekai.
I know.
We'll stop talking isekai when Japan stops making it. But we have a better chance of seeing an actual good rendition of Conception come out before we will see Japan stop making isekai. My wife brought up a question, and I'm curious if anybody in the chat has ever actually played the game Conception, because it's based off a video game. And my wife was wondering, after we had watched that dumpster fire, is the game any good? Or is the game just as garbage as the anime was?
I don't know. I don't know. According to Wikipedia, it's got a 7 out of 10 rating on Steam. The game was released exclusively for PSP in Japan in 2012. Or that's apparently there's more than one Conception game.
Ross says that he's played the sequel game on the 3DS. It's good voice actors. But
I'm
So apparently the game is better than what the anime was.
Okay, it was originally released in Japan for PSP and then re-released for PS4. In North America, it was released in North America and Europe, it was released for PC in 2019.
There you go, Darren. When you get a computer, you can get the game and let us know how it is. He's so excited, he's speechless.
The sequel game, Conception Plus, Maiden of 12 Stars, on Metacritic has a game score of 62 out of 100.
So very mid. So yeah, I don't think that's anything that I would ever want to play. I think the anime had turned me off to, like, if I had seen it as a game before seeing it as an anime, I probably would have tried it first. But I think I'd be more apt in playing like an Uma Musume video game over that. And Ross giving us the 5-minute warning. 5 minutes left. Ah!
Yep.
Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We've been having a lot of fun doing these shows. We're closing in fast on a very big anniversary here for us. Coming up in April, we'll be celebrating 10 years of Anime-Zing Radio. Insane to think that the show has been going on that long.
Yep.
And I know, Angela, you joined us way back when as part of a cosplayer roundtable, never thinking that many years later you'd be sitting in a co-host spot.
No, and the world works in mysterious ways, and this has been one heck of an adventure. And it's really been interesting and a lot of fun, and like I said, I'll be around Anime Boston, so if anyone wants to meet up or something, just let me know.
I will try to see if I can finagle time off to make it. I don't know where my days off will fall around that time. If it just so happens that I have 48 hours off for around the Anime Boston, I will try to make it. But that's something I probably won't know until like the week beforehand, which at that point would lead me to be scrambling to figure out lodging and stuff like that.
And Ross says, bringing us full circle back to the beginning of the show. We don't. Some are, some aren't.
The Crunchyroll Awards, they are.
I feel like anything where the audience gets to vote, there's only, you can't really completely rig it.
But you can have you have a pretty good idea based on the fandoms who's gonna win what, based off of what's popular.
Yep.
And you look at anime awards recently, of course, Attack on Titan is going to win a lot. Before that, you had My Hero winning a lot. You have Demon Slayer winning a lot. Jujutsu Kaisen winning a lot. Because they have huge fandom. So if you have fan votes, those are the shows that are going to get, whether it be right or wrong, that's where the fandom is.
Which is a shame, because some very underrated stuff gets overlooked because not enough people know about it.
Because everybody's riding the hype train. Or in the case of Demon Slayer, he doesn't just like trains, he is the train.
What I've seen of Demon Slayer, I enjoyed.
I just poke fun at the one thing that my wife told me about the dude becoming the train.
And I haven't gotten that far.
So so I poke fun at that. She pokes fun at me working for a railroad, be like, you don't just like trains, you're on the train.
And you know what? Whatever.
But
But
on
on
that
that
note,
lovely note, the time has gone off. It is
10 o'clock.
witching hour.
We hope everybody has a wonderful week out there. Stay safe. If you're in any of the heavy storm areas, please stay safe, stay indoors. If you are in a flood area or mudslide affected area, please get out, get to safety for you and your families and everything. We don't want to see anybody hurt from any of these storms that's coming across the country. So,
yep. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you all next week.
I know we're going to be going up against the Super Bowl, but we'll have some fun. We'll figure some craziness out. Maybe Darren and Angela can argue about shonen and isekai, which one's better. But until then, have a wonderful week, everybody, and we'll see you again right here for more Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.